Dolphins. Yes, including the Miami Dolphins. So tonight, I want to welcome you to Barry's counseling and therapy session. The therapy couch is now open. So, I posted a video earlier today, and the video earlier today talked about fans. I'd been getting so many comments on YouTube and on Twitter where people talking about the game with Baltimore last year and saying, hey, we did it to them last year, we're going to do it to them this year. And so I wanted to talk about that. I posted a video today. I'm going to talk about that tonight. But tonight, we're going to go in depth in that video. When I say in depth, I'm going to take a little bit more time talking about it. And I'm going to get some comments from you guys. A lot of people were pissed off that I put that video out. It happens. It always happens. People get pissed off when I don't come out with the pom-poms and cheer and say everything's great and that Tua is the greatest quarterback to ever step on a football field, to ever lace up cleats. It's so easy. I mean, just so you guys know, it's very easy to manipulate the Dolphins fan base. Very easy. And we're going to talk about that later as well. But if I came out with pom-poms, that everything is fine and that we're going to win every single game and that Tua is the best quarterback ever, people would be extremely happy, very happy. But then when you start pointing things out, they don't want to hear that and they get pissed off at you. I bet you can go probably to most of the Dolphins YouTubers out there and ask them for a prediction or go back and look at their predictions. I don't think they've ever said that the Miami Dolphins are going to lose this weekend. Never. I've looked at a couple guys, and other than like the guy TD, but other than that, I don't see anybody calling it straight. I don't see anyone looking at it with balls and strikes. They always say the Miami Dolphins are going to win. Every single time. Without question, without error, without pause. Every single time. That's obviously not possible. In fact, the team has already lost 4 games. So if you can't, and I didn't even see him losing to Tennessee. Nope, didn't see that coming. Didn't see it coming at all. That's why I don't do predictions. I did one last week. I did say they were going to beat the Cowboys. If all the people were pissed off at me, go back and look at my videos. I thought they were actually going to blow the Cowboys out. I actually said that they were probably going to beat the Cowboys by 20-something points. So I did see that the Dolphins were going to beat the Dallas Cowboys. Called it. First time I've ever done a prediction because I felt that confident that the Dolphins were going to win. I felt that confident that I was willing, if I was a betting man, to go out and put money on it. Said it straight up. They're going to stomp all over the Cowboys. Now, they didn't stomp on the Cowboys, but they did pull out a win in the last second. You know how funny it is in terms of how the fan psyche is kind of nuts? I wrote in one of my videos, the title of the video was, The Miami Dolphins Escape with a Win over the Dallas Cowboys. And people got pissed off because I said they escaped with a win over the Dallas Cowboys. So I asked the guy, a couple of people who got pissed off, and I said, what do you call it when you kick a field goal in the last second to win? Played a lot of football. One guy said it was a rout. Wow, okay. What do you call when you kick a field goal to win in the last second of the game? Time runs out, walk-off field goal. You don't call that escaping with the win. You're behind. You kick the field goal to win the game as time runs out, and you don't think that's escaping with a win. That just tells you the level of psyche, the level of basically, for lack of a better word, insanity around some fans. So I decided I was going to make a video after I saw people comparing things back and forth, talking about last year where the Dolphins came back and stormed back and beat the Baltimore Ravens. I think it was 42-38. Don't quote me on the score, but I believe that's what the score was. After being down all over, the whole game, Tua came back. They threw for 469 yards, something like 5 or 6 touchdowns. Absolutely. Applause. Go back and see my live broadcast. I was excited for that. That was a fantastic comeback. Complete salute. And as of today being December 28th, 2023, That means absolutely nothing. Barry, what do you... It means absolutely nothing. There is nothing comparable about what happened in September of 2022 to what could happen or what may happen in 2023 in late December between these two playoff-bound teams. Not even comparable. Can't even look at that game. And when I said that today, I saw people get pissed off. I'm like, I didn't say the Dolphins were going to lose to Baltimore. Never said it. Didn't intimate that. Never mentioned it. All I said was you couldn't compare it. It pissed people off. And I had actual proof. So those of you who haven't seen that video, we're gonna play it now. And it starts off with just a little bit of platitudes where Tua and what's his name? Lamar Jackson exchange pleasantries and basically say, the other guy is fantastic. This guy's fantastic. The other guy's fantastic. Everybody is fantastic. Which you would expect from two opposing quarterbacks, because the last thing you want is locker room material saying something bad about the other player. Oh, he sucks. Oh, okay, I'm going to show you. But when you say stuff flowery, when you say things good, it doesn't give the other team that kind of momentum. So let's start off just by listening to the two quarterbacks. And some of the people picked out something today that I didn't even realize, where Lamar Jackson just completely omitted something when he talks. To see if you guys pick it up. I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so this is Lamar Jackson talking about Tua.
Tua is a phenomenal player, I believe. You know, I seen him. I think it was, I don't know who they were playing, Georgia in a national championship game, when I think they took one quarterback out, put him in. He threw the game-winning touchdown. After that, I was like, bro, he's amazing. You know, I just fell in love with his game then, and like his poise in the games and stuff like that in situations. And I believe he was gonna win Heisman one year. And I DM'd him, I'm like, bro, you need to win Heisman. Like, I voted for you, you know, stuff like that. But his game is great, you know, phenomenal quarterback.
I don't know if you missed it, but he said that Tua came in at the Georgia game and replaced some quarterback and just took over and won the game. I didn't even catch that. He didn't even mention Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts was the guy who obviously Tua replaced. Don't know if it was an omission or if he just forgot. I didn't think it was a big deal, but it was kind of funny after people pointed out, like, hey, man, he didn't even remember it was Jalen Hurts who Tua replaced.
He just got to keep doing what he's doing. Just not this week.
Just not this week. All right, so now Tua talks about Lamar.
I got a lot of respect for Lamar. The things that he's done throughout his career. I can vividly remember when I was in college. I think he was in the NFL. And he reached out to me and, you know, like told me that I was balling. And I thought that was like one of the coolest things. I think that was the year he won the MVP. But just the amount of respect that I have for him, who he is as a player. And then, you know, I've been hearing talks about, you know, what people say about him and whatnot, and how he handles himself and how he goes about his business. Very respectable, very commendable, and he's a baller. Like, that's just flat out what he is, and that's what he does. He's a game changer with what he can do in the pocket, throwing the ball deep on the run, and then he can, you know, make you miss with his legs as well. So I got a lot of respect for him.
I don't get it. All right, so both quarterbacks have expressed pleasantries about the other quarterback, understanding that they're both good, they're both top-notch quarterbacks, both tops in the league. And so now in this video, which I'm going to play and then just stop when I need to, I talked about how fans jumped in and don't understand why you can't compare last year to this year. It's very simple. You just can't do it. So there are 10 reasons why I gave as to why you can't compare last year to this year. They're not in order. Somebody thought I was ranking them. It wasn't a ranking. It was just 10 reasons. There was no ranking. These are just 10 reasons I have why you can't compare last year to this year. and I'm going to stop in between each one and take some comments and we can talk about it. All right, so let me go ahead and cut to the video. I don't understand why so many Miami Dolphins fans try to compare last year's Dolphins win over the Ravens to this year's game. Seriously, stop it. It's stupid. You're showing your ignorance. Last year's game means nothing in regards to this year's game. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. There are 10 reasons that render last game's Dolphins-Ravens game completely irrelevant to this year's game. And I'm pretty sure no one has told you this, so let me give you a little bit of football edification.
Number 10.
The location, and specifically when this game is being played. This game is being played in Baltimore in December. If you don't realize the significance of that statement, you haven't been following along. Sunday's weather in Baltimore is expected to be between 45 and 50 degrees during the football game. The Miami Dolphins are a dominant team at home, as they've been 7-1 this year. But they've been an average mediocre team on the road with only a 4-3 record. And while much has been made of Tua Tagovailoa's poor performance and dismal record when the temperature is below 50 degrees, I'm not buying into that. This is big time football. It's December football. No excuses. You have to do what you have to do to win. All right. Anything wrong with that? Could you possibly have a problem with that? I said I'm not buying into Tua not being able to play in cold weather, even though it's going to be 45 to 50, with I think about a 10 or 15 mile an hour wind up in Baltimore. If any of you guys have ever been to Baltimore, the wind coming off the Inner Harbor can be kind of brisk. It can be really cold up there. The stadium is basically built on the Inner Harbor, even though it's, pretty high up and everything. But in any event, that was my statement for number 10. This is December football. This is football with playoff implications. This is football where it's not in September. And, it's what the weather is supposed to be. So does anybody have any kind of a problem with what I just said right there? Jimmy James, let me see let me click here. Make sure that's working. Yeah, 55 and sunny. Yeah, it's supposed to be no rain, just a little cool. Who knows? I'll give the weatherman up there a little bit of leeway in terms of where he's going to go with things. Waddle maybe. Waddle may be out. Not really sure, but they're talking about it that he could be out. Tom the Don says 55 ain't cold. I agree. I love that weather. Grew up in Connecticut, so 55 to me is shorts and t-shirts weather. Brett Dodger says it's 48 degrees on Sunday. 55, he said this 56 is freezing for us Floridians. I know I had to get out and take the dog out this morning. It was 62 here in Boca, and I was like, ooh, that's cold, man. And it was misting rain. It was just nasty. For us, 62 is like put on a parka. Barry, you speak the truth. Hopefully we can get the win at Baltimore. Yep, that would be nice. Schley says I would only be warning if it was raining and cold. It looks like it's going to be. Great White Shark says, can you spell Jimbo Knivett? I'm sure he can. Love to see these comments, by the way. Oh, by the way, go ahead and hit that like button.
Show some love and click that like button.
I doubt we can beat the Ravens in Baltimore. Just maybe Mike D realized that a 3 to 4 yard run is better than a pick six. Run the damn ball and keep Lamar on the sideline. So don't see anybody complaining about what I said in that number 10 slot. All right, so let's continue to number 9. I want to move this along because I want to hear from you guys in terms of what I said. Let's hit number 9.
Number 9.
Timing is a big issue. Last year's game was played in September, the second game of the year. This game is being played in December. It's playoff time. It's big football time. There's no comparison to a game in September to a game in December. And hopefully you understand the magnitude of December football game with huge playoff implications. And then we have to touch on the personnel. All right, so late December, almost January versus September. Any of you who have played football understand it's completely different. In the NFL, with the shortened preseason, with people really not playing the starters and basically nursing people into the starting lineup. What you have in early September is a lot of people getting their legs underneath them, understanding their assignments, and especially if you're installing a new offense, the Dolphins did, and you've got rookies playing, or if you have a new coach. All of that happened last September. You probably didn't know this. You probably didn't know that the Baltimore Ravens had just installed a new defensive coordinator. That was his second game. You guys know from this year, this is Vic Fangio. This is his first season. How did his first season start out? There were people calling for Vic Fangio's head early in the season. Oh my God, this isn't working. I don't know what the hell is Vic Fangio doing. It doesn't make any sense. Boyer could have done this. I remember what everybody was saying. Understand that Baltimore had a new defensive coordinator back then, early September, his second game out the box. And then he was playing rookies as well. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. The timing of that game versus now, December football with huge playoff implications, that's completely different. Who do you give the advantage to? I'm not really sure. Both teams have, at this point, have had to go through all year, 14 games or so, 15. And now they should be on autopilot, basically. Understand the playbook. Communication should be where it should be. Injuries are what they are. Come back from them. People on injured reserve, all kinds of things. This is much different. This is late December versus September. Flamingo. I know I'm going to get these names mixed up during the week, but Mike Macdonald is the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Mike Macdonald was in his first year as a defensive coordinator with the Ravens the last time these two teams played. If you don't think that makes a difference, then you didn't watch that game. If you don't think a new defensive coordinator putting in a new defense against Tyreek Hill and what those guys did last year, you saw it on the field. They were friggin' lost. At the end of that game, they're like, I don't even know where these guys are doing. Tyreek Hill with his 4-2, blown coverages, 2 touchdowns. He's waving bye-bye and giving you peace signs as he's laughing at you. Different time frame. Would you say, I bet Tua Tagovailoa will wear a thong along with Tyreek Hill. That last game will say a lot about us, could be. Since week 8, when Jalen started, we are the number 1 defense. Yep, and I'm going to get to Jalen Ramsey in a little bit. But so far, have you heard anything that would get you pissed off as a Dolphins fan as to not even taking into account last year's game? So let's move on to number 8.
Number 8.
Roquan Smith is a star linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. He's probably going to be named All-Pro, and he wasn't there last year. Bingo. Roquan Smith came in from the Chicago Bears and is a stud linebacker, an absolute stud. He didn't play in that previous game. If you haven't seen Roquan Smith play yet, and if you didn't see what he did in the 49ers game, be aware to watch. I think he's wearing number 0 now. Watch him Sunday. This guy played at Georgia, is friggin' amazing. He wasn't playing against the Miami Dolphins last year. That alone, to me, would be a huge difference in terms of, personnel. Now, in this video, I went through the different changes with Baltimore first. That's why you're seeing that, and then I go through the Dolphins afterwards. So don't think I didn't include the Dolphins players. Maybe some people bolted on the video because, Barry's just talking about the Ravens. I went to both sides and talked about it. So let me get to, number 7?
Number 7.
Rookie Zay Flowers has 74 receptions for 452 yards. And obviously, he was at Boston College last year. He didn't play in last year's Ravens-Dolphins game. All right, so Zay Flowers, who is hurt, didn't practice today. I'm not sure if he's going to make it in terms of playing Sunday, but if he does, here's a wide receiver who was drafted, I believe, in the first round out of Boston College, has done very well, has been a huge target for Lamar Jackson, and he wasn't there last year. Are you starting to see why you can't compare last year's game to this year's game? These huge playmakers, these guys who have made a huge impact in the Baltimore Ravens. I haven't got to the Dolphins yet. We're going to get there. But if you see the nucleus of this team changing, plus their injuries and what's been going on, it's very hard to say this is the same team from last year. No, it's not. It's not at all. James Steele says, better overall. Lamar is like having extra running back with passer, not this year. He runs. Yeah, Zay Flowers does that. Need to cover that tight end too. In regards to let me just put that up, Vipey. In regards to the tight end, he had an all-pro in Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews went down with a broken leg, and they've got this new guy. His name is Likely. His last name is Likely. He's amazing. And you know the Dolphins have had trouble with tight ends. So Likely wasn't there last year. You've got a new tight end playing as well. Lamar is the highest paid. That's a big change from last year. He's also the highest paid running back and quarterback in the league. You're exactly right. Neither team is or was the same as they were last year. That's my exact point. That's the point I was making. If you're saying, hey, we beat the hell out of them or we did this in last year, so we should be okay this year, it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid for any fan to even compare these two teams. I'm glad you said it. Neither team is the same as it was last year. It's just completely different. And I was just trying to point this out. So I didn't have this time in the video today to go through all these points, but I want to go through it today because so many people got pissed off.
Number 6.
Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ, great receiver. He wasn't on the team last year. He was picked up in free agency. The veteran Super Bowl champion signed with the Baltimore Ravens in April. Big one. Okay, he's not your number one guy. He's a little bit long in the tooth, a little bit older, recovered from some injuries, but OBJ is with this team. He is a target for Lamar Jackson. He can still hurt you. He wasn't playing last year. I'd be amazed if you could even tell me who Lamar's receivers were last year without having to Google it. And right now, I know it's Zay Flowers and OBJ and probably a couple other guys. Completely different. Completely different. Let's see. They will throw it deep and early to OBJ. Is Cater... I think Cater Cove is fine. I didn't know he had an Achilles issue. I think Barry is fighting back against the "we're going to win easily" crowd, which are the actual lunatics that don't look at our team objectively. No, there's a lot of people who won't look at things objectively. I don't understand why. And then not only do they not look objectively, they get pissed when you point out things that they don't agree with. They get absolutely livid, don't want to hear it, and that's just not who I am. I am someone I want to look at apples to apples, oranges to oranges. Let me see what's coming out there on the field. And so I pointed that out that, hey guys, this was my point in this video. You have to look maybe this year, the last 6 or 7, 8 weeks, because I wouldn't even talk about the Dolphins prior to Jalen Ramsey getting here. So you look at the last 8 weeks of the Dolphins, look at the last 8 weeks of the Ravens, and start looking at the comparisons there. Definitely not going back to September of 2022. That's absolutely insane. So let's look what's next.
Number 5.
Todd Monken was named the new offensive coordinator in February. He wasn't at last year's game between the Dolphins and the Ravens. He was busy winning back-to-back national championships with the Georgia Bulldogs, and he has stepped in this year and completely revamped the Baltimore Ravens offense. Now that is huge. That's another thing that slides under the radar that many fans don't understand. Don't maybe even know, probably don't even care. The Ravens replaced Greg Roman, who was their offensive coordinator last year when the Dolphins played them. They brought in a new offensive coordinator. So what happens when you bring in a new coordinator? You guys must know you bring in a completely new system. You're hiring an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, as it may be, and saying, okay, I trust in you that you have an idea how we can improve and get better. Okay, so here's your job. Here's your team. Go ahead and make it better. And Todd Monken is the new offensive coordinator. That alone, that one fact alone, should make people never mention what happened in September of 2022 ever again in regards to this game. They've got a brand new offensive coordinator. Everything they're doing, the entire playbook, old one gets tossed, new one gets brought in, and how are you able to look at this situation of them bringing in, and we're talking about a good team changing their offensive coordinator. We're not talking about a bad team changing their offensive coordinator. They took a good team. And John Harbaugh said, hey, listen, I'm not happy where we are. We need to improve next year. Let's bring in a new guy. And this new guy has been, I don't know if he's calling the right plays or setting up the right things for Lamar, but things have worked and clicked for him. That alone, I mean, I could have made the video 30 seconds. Hey, listen, I got a new offensive coordinator. It's nothing like it was in September. Forget about it. But people don't understand that. Maybe people don't understand the impact a coordinator has. Well, I can give you a quick parallel. That quick parallel being Josh Boyer and Vic Fangio. If Boyer getting booted and Vic Fangio coming in has made that much of a difference for Miami, what do you think about Todd Monken taking over the reins as offensive coordinator? Is this the same defense that Josh Boyer was running? Are we getting the same results as when Josh Boyer was coaching? So what would make you not understand that Todd Monken is doing the exact same thing in Baltimore? He completely changed the offense. He completely made last year irrelevant. I can almost guarantee you every single coach who has played this team this year, when they brought up film study, is looking at things from this year only. There's not much you're going to learn from last year. He completely changed the offense. Mike McDonald, their defensive coordinator, you may look at his film to see what he did defensively, because now he's maybe doing the same thing, but he's got different personnel. I'm trying to give you this information from the perspective of a player, not just sitting back in the stands looking at the fans and getting pissed off. So let me hear what you guys have to say. There are three quarterbacks I follow. My job is to educate the stupid. Okay, whatever that means. Yeah, exactly, Tom. This is boom. There you go, boom. Kansas City is not the same without Bieniemy. Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator with Kansas City. Took him out the equation, and Kansas City looks average this year. I mean, average. From a Super Bowl winning team to an average team, and the only thing that really changed was Eric Bieniemy. I think you guys are arguing amongst yourselves. We were fans long before Tua got here, and it'll be long after he retires. It's crazy to be so unhinged over a single player on a team. I don't get it. It's weird. I can't even speak to this stuff. This week will tell us a lot. It sure will. What else we got here? Daniel, where did Daniel's thing go? Daniel Pilarski. Yeah, I want to get this up here. Daniel says, to be honest, if this game comes down to the defense, the Ravens win. Yeah, our offense hasn't been doing much considering we're labeled as an explosive offense. I'm not making a prediction in this game, but I would refer you to the game film of the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy 2 weeks ago was an MVP candidate. They made him look average. They made him look really bad. 5 interceptions. I mean, 4 to him, maybe Sam Darnold threw 1. but they had to pull him out the game. It was so bad. That's how bad they made Brock Purdy. So you think it can't happen to Tua? If you think it can't happen to Tua, that's the kind of mania that you guys have created amongst yourselves to think that they can't do that to Tua. If they could dismantle Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers and the Miami Dolphins are basically running the same damn offense, all the zippity-doo-dah motion with Debo / Tyreek, Christian McCaffrey / Mostert. We don't have a tight end of really in terms of maybe Durham Smythe, but George Kittle. They have the same offense. So, I gotta believe that if they were able to come up with a game plan against the 49ers like that, they can probably game plan pretty well for the, Miami Dolphins. So now Mike McDaniel, not McDonald, Mike McDaniel now has the ability to go back and look at that film and go, what did they do? How did they shut down our offense? And I say our offense because he's from the Shanahan tree. So what did they do to stop Debo and McCaffrey and Ayuk and George Kittle? What did they do? And then on the flip side, how did they beat the hell out of that defense? We need to look at that. So I'm sure Mike McDaniel has had some sleepless nights this week trying to figure out just what the hell do we do against the Baltimore Ravens. All right, let's go to the next one.
Number 4.
And let's not forget Golden Domer, Notre Dame safety, Kyle Hamilton. He was a greenhorn rookie in last year's game. He looked completely lost on the field. In fact, you can actually see the game film where Tyreek Hill caught those 2 big touchdowns, and he looked like he didn't even know what was going on. This year, he's playing like an all-pro. Now let's look at the Dolphins side of things. All right, before we get to the Dolphins side of things, Kyle Hamilton hurt his knee at the end of the game last week. Not sure if he's going to play. They're listing him as questionable for this week. They showed some pictures of him at practice. He was just doing a walkthrough. He wasn't really running, so not sure if he's going to play. But if he does, understand what he did last week against the 49ers. Just took Brock Purdy and made him see ghost. 2 interceptions. Named was the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Last year in September, he was a rookie. It was his second game. And if you go back and look at the film, you can see on those 2 long touchdowns that Tua threw to Tyreek, after the play was over, he's looking around like, what the hell happened, guys? I don't know. Who was I supposed to cover? What was I supposed to do? And you can actually see him going like this, knowing he blew it and he didn't know why. I can tell you if he's playing this weekend, he ain't going to blow it. That's a huge, huge thing. Kyle Hamilton is arguably one of the best safeties in the NFL in only his second year. And that is a huge difference from last year because those 2 touchdowns, those 2 long broken play touchdowns where Tyreek just toasted the Baltimore Ravens secondary, they basically embarrassed and beat Kyle Hamilton. You don't think that's on his mind from last year? You don't think he remembers what happens? You don't think he's looked at that and said, oh my God, I was so stupid. I was just a dumb rookie. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Mike McDonald, not McDaniel. Hey, McDonald, tell me what I did wrong. Help me. I'm going to be facing this guy with 4.2 speed. What do we got to do? Different player. Defensive Player of the Week versus a greenhorn rookie in his second game. Huge difference. Huge games. Purdy is beginning to play more like a 7th-round pick. That's true. Bad bounces for San Francisco. Lucky tips for the stinking Baltimore Ravens. They are great blowing games at home. What else we got down here? You guys said, hi, Wayne. Thank you very much. I agree with you, Barry. And I'm just so you guys know, I'm not looking for affirmation. I already know I don't mean to sound cocky. I already know what I'm saying is correct. I just understand that it pisses some people off and they need therapy after looking at some of my stuff, which I don't understand. If you don't like what I say, it's okay to disagree, but if you don't like what I say and it bothers you that much, I don't know why you tune in. You tune in just to bitch at people in the comment section. Maybe that's what it is. Two TDs. I see the CCR is out here beating on people. Let me just go through here. Miami beat the Ravens last year. I guess you might be new to this video. This video is for you. Saying that Miami beat the Ravens last year, this was the video for you. So maybe instead of commenting, you might want to go back to the beginning, because the therapy couch, it's crowded, but you might get something from it. Because when you make a statement like that, you told the rest of us, one, that you haven't been watching, and you're also telling the rest of us that you have no clue about football. None. Zippo. None. I don't mean to be mean, but I'm just saying, making a statement like that and comparing it to last year just exemplifies everything I've been talking about, that you really have no clue. I hate to be the one to break it to you. Maybe that's what pisses people off, because I'm actually one who will say it to you. I'll go ahead and screenshot your name and put it out there. But you have to understand, I'm not making this shit up. I've done some research. I understand where I'm going with this entire video. So, in any event, let's continue as we now get into what's different with the Miami Dolphins.
Number 3.
And a player who's had a huge impact on the Miami Dolphins offense, Devon Achane. He was still at Texas A&M when the Dolphins and Ravens played last year. So there's a big one. I don't know what his status is health-wise, but Devon Achane wasn't anywhere to be found last year's game. He was still at Texas A&M, running up and down the field in relative obscurity, wondering if he was going to get picked in the NFL, and then he ends up getting picked in the NFL by the Miami Dolphins. Nobody really understood who he was. I remember during draft night sitting there watching and going, oh my God, who the hell is Devon Achane? We called him Achane back then. Who the hell is Devon Achane? And some of you guys watched it with me, and I saw your comments. What the hell? What was Chris Britt thinking? Devon Achane? Who is he? And people are Googling to find out who he was, and now people love him. People understand when he's healthy, he is a important cog in the Miami Dolphins wheel, and is a extremely impactful player. None of us knew that. So if none of us knew that on draft day, then obviously his impact in September of last year wasn't even a thought. But now he's in the huddle. Hopefully he'll be on the field this weekend. And this guy is a difference maker, and I think all of you will agree. But he wasn't there last year. And because he wasn't there last year, that is another potentially big difference if he gets to play. I mean, he's been hurt a lot, but at the same time, the guy has made a difference with the Miami Dolphins, and he wasn't part of the team the last time they played. So what do we got next?
Number 2.
Bradley Chubb has made an undeniable huge impact on the Miami Dolphins defense this year. And guess what? He wasn't playing in last year's game either. Anybody have a problem with that? Bradley Chubb has come on, and again, earlier this year, people were saying that Bradley Chubb was a bust. This year, forget last year, he wasn't on a team. Wasn't even on a team. So Bradley Chubb shows up, is labeled a bust earlier in this season, and now he's got one of the most sacks in the league at this point, has been doing phenomenal on Fangio's defense, has been just terrorizing offenses, and he didn't play in September of last year. So again, another reason, another brick in the wall as to why you can't compare last year to this year. One of the best players on defense wasn't here. And that's followed up by arguably the best player on defense.
Number 1.
Jalen Ramsey has become a shutdown corner in the NFL, one of the best in the league. And obviously, he wasn't with the team during last year's game when the Ravens torched the defensive secondary of the Miami Dolphins. All right, so Now you got Jalen Ramsey thrown into the mix. Jalen Ramsey obviously didn't play last September. This wasn't a total leaning towards Baltimore. My explanation here was basically across the board, showing you how the two teams have changed so much that making a comparison to last year's game to this year's game is absolutely absurd. It's ludicrous. It makes no sense. By trying to compare last year to this year, you're basically taking all of the accomplishments and achievements that these players have provided to both teams and saying that they wouldn't have mattered. That whatever happened last year is going to happen again this year. We're going to toast the secondary up in Baltimore. We're going to score 42 points on that defense. They're going to score 38 points on this defense, and that's just how it's going to be, Barry. We saw what happened last year. Tua threw for 469 yards. He's going to do it again, and he's going to score throw for 6 touchdowns again. We're good. And so you just, by saying that, are discounting all these new things that happened with both teams. I'm thinking that because I did Baltimore first, a lot of people never got to the Dolphins stuff and probably, got pissed off, not realizing, thinking I was saying Baltimore was such a better team, when that's not what I was saying at all. What I'm saying, and what you've seen thus far, is both teams are so dissimilar from the teams that played last year. So I've got 2 more to show you, and I did number these 2. And arguably, this is probably the biggest reason why it's stupid to compare the game last year to this year. Vic Fangio was named the new defensive coordinator. He's completely retooled the entire Miami Dolphins defense, and he wasn't involved in the Ravens-Dolphins game last year. The new Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator has established himself and the Miami Dolphins defense as one of the best in the league. You disagree? Is there any reason to disagree with that? That Vic Fangio, is my volume up? Check. If Vic Fangio has not revamped this entire defense, forget from a year ago. What Vic Fangio has done in probably the last 7 to 9 weeks is not even comparable to where the defense was at the beginning of this year. Understand that what Vic Fangio has done with the Miami Dolphins defense just in half of this season is not even comparable to what it was in the beginning of the season. Everybody had to get ready. Jalen Ramsey was hurt. New system, moving players in and out. Cam Smith has gone on the witness protection program. Kader Kohu is playing like a stud. Deshaun Elliott basically won the game against Dallas by keeping Tony Pollard out of the end zone. Completely different. And Vic Fangio wasn't here last September. So how can you compare the Miami Dolphins last year to the Miami Dolphins this year? Like I said, I don't think people watched the video the whole way through. I was talking about both teams having so much change for the better. And I got one more that's kind of quirky, but I think it's relevant when you talk about what happened last year. Take a listen to this. And one last footnote that I have to acknowledge is about Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki caught 4 passes for 41 yards and an unbelievable touchdown from Tua Tagovailoa to help propel the Dolphins past the Ravens in that huge comeback. And obviously, Mike Gesicki is no longer with the team. All right. Again, truth, not making it up. If you watched the game with me or watched it on your own or in a sports bar from last year, you remember that Mike Gesicki caught an unbelievable pass. He took his 6'5" frame, jumped up, almost hitting the crossbar, and Tua threw the ball in a place only Mike Gesicki could catch it. He came down, tapped both feet for a touchdown. I haven't seen Durham Smythe display that kind of athleticism as of yet. Have you? Have you seen Durham Smythe play like Mike Gesicki did in the Baltimore Ravens game? I haven't. He did very well last week. He did awesome last week. All of us who were watching it were like, damn, where'd the tight end come from? Durham Smythe showed up. In the 15th or 16th game of the season. Durham Smythe showed up. Mike Gesicki in that second week, caught an amazing touchdown pass from Tua Tagovailoa. Perfect throw, perfect catch, tap the feet, touchdown. And as far as I know, Mike Gesicki is no longer with the Miami Dolphins. So, I've gone through all of that video. I've talked to you about all the different people involved in it. And to me, that's what my stance was and perspective was by saying this is a completely different team. I don't know how anybody could argue with that. It is completely different. And their team is completely different from the team that got spanked last September. Score less than 24 points. Thank our defense for the win. Last week, the offense was mediocre at best. 5 field goals, a goal line stop. Absolutely. Defense did it. That Canadian sissy accent. Is that Gesicki? Gesicki. Congratulations. So what's your prediction? No, Eric, I don't make predictions. I made one last week. Not going to make a prediction. I just don't like doing that. Not because I'm afraid to, but so many different variables can happen. Even though I think at this point the Ravens are favored by 3.5 points, I just don't. There's too many things. A tip ball here, a bad penalty there, a fumble on the goal line. Imagine if you were an odds maker and you were betting on Dallas to win last week, and you're like, oh, I got this. They're on the 1 yard line going in, and they fumbled. And they fumbled in the end zone. You can't predict that. You could not have predicted that the Dallas Cowboys were going to fumble on the 1 yard line. It basically is something that flipped the game. And, they were playing well, and I'm not going to say who was doing better than who, but they fumbled on the 1 yard line. Or conversely, being 4th down and 3, and Mike McDaniel going for a fade instead of taking 3 points, with a field goal. Maybe that would have been Jason Sanders, another field goal. So you can't predict that stuff, and that's why I just never do so. Mike McDaniel has plays up his sleeve he doesn't want to expose until due time. I've heard that all year. All year, people think that there's something secret that Mike McDaniel has up his sleeve for every single game. What that tells me is that you think that Mike McDaniel is going to do something that the team really hasn't been able to practice in arguably the biggest game of the year. Think about what you're just saying. Remember, there's basically 2 practices, yesterday and today, and then probably do a walkthrough on Friday, then they got to fly out of here. And you think in those 2 practices, Mike McDaniel has some secret play that the team hasn't really been able to practice, and he's going to launch it in the biggest game of the year. Okay. Let's see what here. The loss to Tennessee was on Mike McDaniel and Tua chiefly. I guess we could point some fingers there. Never save your best for tomorrow. Tomorrow it might rain. Yogi Bear. I love that saying. You got to win. You got to win now. I mean, there were some things that if Mike McDaniel had some secret plays, I think he would have ran them against the Cowboys. I mean, remember, they were down and had to come back, and, Tua took him the length of the field. You want to know what his secret plays were against the Cowboys? In that last drive, he ran the damn ball. I think the Cowboys were flabbergasted. I think they all thought, hey, listen, we know what Mike McDaniel's going to do. He's going to come down here in a two-minute drill and throw. And he ended up handing it off and running up their ass. So, I mean, maybe that was what's different. None of the fog is here. Maybe Claypool will show up in Waddle's absence, or Cedric Wilson may be the player this week. So, no turnovers. We win plain and simple. Enough with the fourth and goal crap. Just really. John Gordon says, please stop the end zone fade play. I think almost 1 million people are thinking this, Bear. Yeah, just 4th and goal, and you're on a fade against 2 good corners. That's crazy. So, Skyler almost beat the Bills at home in a playoff game. And that and maybe $1.50 will get you a cup of coffee. The hell does that mean? Again, you're going back to last year. And this entire video, we're almost at an hour. This entire video, I've been trying to tell you, you can't do that. I don't understand what compels people to look backwards. You just can't do that. I mean, for every reason I just mentioned against the Baltimore Ravens, you could probably do the same thing with the Buffalo Bills. Actually, you could. There's no Gesicki. Vic Fangio's here. There was no Devon Achane. There was no Jalen Ramsey. There was no Bradley Chubb. So I don't understand why people talk about last year. There is no last year as far as a player. It's a waste of time. So I don't understand why Skyler isn't even going to play. Skyler is on the automatic reserve player who just sits around with a clipboard unless Mike White and Tua both get hurt. Let's see here. You guys are talking about control. Hey, Pete, what's going on? Is this a good test before the playoffs for McDaniel to correct the communication issues he had on the road, causing bad timeouts and delay of games due to loud crowd? And I didn't see any of the sports writers say it, but I didn't hear anyone say he had turned up music or crowd noise at practice today. It's going to be rocking in Baltimore. I mean, it's going to be very, very, very loud. Much, much louder than it is at the Hard Rock. These people are they love their team. It'll be a full stadium. They will be screaming, and that's a good point. I'm not sure if he has accounted for quick counts with Tua. I'm sure they've got to have practiced some quick counts, some hand signals. Depending on who's playing center, if it's going to be Eichenberg, watch out for that, because if he can't hear and he's got to go on hand signals and he's got to tell people to come in motion and he's got to tell Eichenberg when to snap, and it's going to be a lot of hand stuff, you are right. That could be problematic. Will we ever see a half where McDonald doesn't waste at least one timeout? Hopefully this week. Hopefully he won't burn any this week. Hopefully he goes. The other guy who said that he had some secret plays. Well, the secret play would be make sure you can communicate as loud as it's going to be. Make sure you get the ball off back to Tua. Make sure you can call the defensive signals. So hopefully he's changed the jargon and made it much easier. I see you guys are beating up on a couple guys. That's funny. While you're beating up on a couple guys in there, go ahead and do this.
Come on, show some love and click that like button.
I think Jeff Wilson Jr. can make a difference with his hard running. I agree as well. So, almost an hour, so let me continue with this. Let me just make sure. So you have to understand, people who try to compare last year's football game with what could happen in this year's football game are simply telling the world that they have no idea about the game of football. None whatsoever. Don't be that guy. Don't be that gal. Understand these two games are completely different personnel, different coaching. This game is its own game. And that's absolutely true. This is its own game, and everything you guys have been mentioning about snap counts and everything else and who's injured. I mean, last year, both Waddle and Tyreek were on the field. This year, we may not have Waddle. So let me jump to that real quick, because there's been a lot of conflicting information. I mean, an absolute ton of conflicting information out there recently about Waddle. In fact, Tyreek was saying that he thinks Waddle is going to be okay. And so right after he mentioned that, this popped up on Twitter. And it's from Adam Schefter reported that Waddle is unlikely to play Sunday. Not a surprise, as Barry Jackson says, considering he hasn't been at practice this week and has been using a walking boot. High ankle sprains can take 2 to 8 weeks to heal, per the Cleveland Clinic. You don't even need the Cleveland Clinic. You can actually just use Tyreek as an example. You can look at Patrick Mahomes. 2 to 8 weeks could be it. But at the same time, as I said with Tyreek a couple weeks ago, it's not just moving forward and being able to run his 4.2 or 4.3. It's the cuts. And a high ankle sprain can really stop you from cutting. His plant foot. I mean, all these different things. So if Jalen Waddle can get out there on the field, I would be amazed. I would be absolutely amazed if Jalen Waddle could indeed get out there on the field. I don't see it happening. People, you ask me if I'll do a prediction. I'll predict now that Jalen Waddle will not play. I could be completely wrong, but if he does have a high ankle sprain, he's not playing. It's just not worth it. Whatever happens in this game, here's the good part of the Baltimore Ravens game. Whatever happens in the Baltimore Ravens game, whatever happens in the Buffalo Bills game, the Dolphins are still in the playoffs. Are you going to risk Jalen Waddle in these next 2 weeks solely for getting the first round bye? I don't know. That's a gamble that Mike McDaniel will have to make, but I would hate for him to come in, get hurt again, and not be available in the playoffs. So we're going to see, because that's a huge thing. Miami loses this week by 17. Alec Perez, I would probably keep him out until the playoffs. Yeah, at this point, even if you got to face Buffalo without him, you have to weigh that. Is it worth it? I mean, if you lose the next 2 games, you're still in the playoffs. You're still there. But if you lose him and he's not available for the playoffs, then oh crap. Oh crap if he's not available. Let's see here. Well, you guys are arguing amongst each other. If Tua missed out on home playoff games, he should be benched for Skyler, in my opinion. Well, I don't know if you guys had followed, because it was just something a blip that I saw online on Twitter. Did you guys know that Tua got hurt in a Cowboys game? I didn't. He didn't come out. Nobody talked about it, but they said he hurt his thumb and his quad. And it was his thumb on his throwing hand. And today, the reporters were saying he didn't show any ill effects on his throwing hand. He seemed to be throwing okay. Nobody said anything wrong. But I would be more concerned about the quad injury. What kind of quad injury? Is it going to slow him down with this Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen he's going to have to face coming up this Sunday? Is he going to be able to move with good agility, having a quad injury? How deep was it? Was this a contusion? But they just said he had a quad injury and a thumb injury. And then, could you re-injure it? Could you aggravate it during the game? So, something to watch. I don't know how bad it was. Like I said, some of the reporters today said he was throwing fine. It didn't seem to have any ill effect on his throwing during practice. But they didn't really talk about his mobility. And if any of you have had a quad contusion or quad injury, oh my God, is it painful. And I did see something when there was a quick video somebody had taken of him in practice, and it looked like he had a pimp walk to him, and it wasn't a pimp walk. He was limping. He wasn't at his normal gait. You can see when someone's not hitting their normal stride. He was limping. So, don't know. Something to look at. Let's see what else you guys did. Why did two... I'm not going to keep going into that stuff. Parsons hurt his feelings. All right, so speaking of feelings, I'm not going to go too much further. You guys... everyone called that I think they called it the thumb the Band-Aid injury, because whatever he did with his thumb was no big deal. But the quad, let me know if you heard people saying that was no big deal. Because, again, a quad, one of the problems with a quad and a hamstring is you can really re-aggravate them pretty easily. And obviously, if you're in practice, you're in the red jersey, no one's going to touch you. If you're just throwing, you're going to be fine. You're not having to do anything. You're not having to plant or push off on that quad. You're hoping it heals. I'm sure he went into therapy. I'm sure they gave him all kinds of massages to work out whatever kind of contusion or bump or bruise it was. But on Sunday, you're going to have to move around. You're going to have to move around a lot. So it's hard to tell what that thigh thing was. Thumb, if they saw him throwing, no big deal. Hopefully he won't get hit and re-aggravate it. Maybe he hit on a helmet or something. but the quad is something to definitely take a look at. Quad is easy to deal with as a quarterback. In practice, you don't have to do much to it, but in the game situation, you could easily re-aggravate it for that same reason, is you're not putting a lot of pressure on it during practice. So you don't know what it's going to feel like when you have to fire. And when I mean fire, have to take off or hit something. What else we got here? So, I see you guys arguing. This is fine. Jermaine Tua is fine. He's going to play. So let me know, did you get the email from the trainer? Because since he's fine and he's going to play, I don't think anybody here said he wasn't going to play. I think we were talking about his quad injury. So if you have more information, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to know, if he's going through massage therapy, is he going through cryotherapy? What's he doing about his quad? Is he doing the Antonio Brown thing? Is he, not Antonio Brown, Deshaun Watson? Has he got some people coming to the house? Because you seem to have the information. He's fine. Don't worry about it. Let me know. Okay, well, tell us what therapy he went through and how it's fine. And if he's fine, why wasn't he designated as FP, meaning full practice? Why was he designated as limited practice? So, just let me know. Let's see here. Oh God, this is so funny. This is how we're respond to saying that without Tua. Oh, okay, without Tua, they're not good. You guys are funny. Must be some serious arguing going on here. So let me add to the argument in closing here, and this is probably going to hurt some people's feelings. So you know what happened with Colin Cowherd, and you guys have seen a lot of stuff about Colin Cowherd, and it's funny because I said it in Tuesday night's video. Everybody knows what Colin Cowherd is all about. There is no secret what Colin Cowherd says and does. And yet every one of the trolls and Twitter nuts just completely freak out over what Colin Cowherd says. Just completely freaks out. And yet they share his stuff over and over and over again. And they talk about his stuff. And he's a clown. He's a nut. What an asshat. I see it all. But they keep talking about him. They can't look away. They can't possibly look away. It's almost like an addiction that they mainline. I got to get my Colin Cowherd fixed today so I can tell everybody how much of a moron he is. If you don't like it, look away. And I went through my whole liver thing last week, but what I want to talk about today is ever since he said that, when he was talking about the MVP, he actually just kept firing. He just kept firing over and over and over again. So he said this yesterday, and I can't play it because YouTube would have a problem with it, but I want you to see this. This is a message to Dolphins fans from Colin Cowherd. It's not my job to give you respect. It's my job to be honest. You have a singular playoff win in 23 years. And he went after Dolphins fans specifically. And so what I said up here is that, as usual, this Colin Cowherd video has tons of retweets, thousands of comments, hundreds and thousands of views, and oddly, mostly by Miami Dolphins fans who say that they think he's a clown, an idiot, and a clickbaiter. You can go to Twitter and see it. They're all pissed off that Colin Cowherd said something. Every day, every single day, the fans get pissed, yet every day they must watch and share and comment. They cannot look away. They can't see what he says and says, oh my God, we can't talk about it. And some wonder why they call the Dolphins fans, some Dolphins fans, a cult. Oh, and by the way, he's absolutely right. It is not his job to give you respect. It's not. It's not his job to give the Miami Dolphins respect. It is his job to be honest. Now, some people may say he's not honest, but that's another story. You have a singular playoff win in 23 years. I added, respect is earned. It is not given. Nobody gives respect unless it's to your parents. Otherwise, you get your ass spanked. Other than that, you have to earn respect. And what he's pontificating is that, hey, this team hasn't won shit in 23 years. I don't care what they do. I don't care who they beat. Until they beat somebody and win a trophy, I'm just going to keep dogging them. Because right now, you're the shiny tool. You're the little puppy in the window. It's cute, but it doesn't really mean anything. So I understand how people get fired up. I really do. I understand. I can see in the comments here that people get fired up. And they talk shit. And they shit post. And they go back and forth. And I went through the whole thing about if you don't like it, just don't watch it. Don't listen to what he says. But you can't. Even the South Florida media, they repost what Colin Cowherd says. They can't get away from it. Every single one of them. David Ferroni's, Omar, everybody retweets what Colin Cowherd says. If you didn't like it, why are you retweeting it? And then this happened today. This was absolutely funny. All right. So today, the very next day, Colin posted a video talking about Tyreek because Tyreek said something back to Colin. Tyreek said, what position does this thug play? Has he ever played football? Needling Colin. Needling. So what I said today, it pissed people off. A true marketing master at work. Colin Cowherd right now owns the Miami Dolphins Twitter once again. And he does. He can say whatever he wants, and he's guaranteed that people are going to talk about it. Watch how many people who talk about this segment, even those who call him all kinds of derogatory names, they can't help themselves. Even local media here in South Florida can't look away. Truly a master in marketing in action. And I truly mean that, because if I can get you to do something that you don't like, then I've really, really touched your emotions. I've dug into your heart and your soul, and I'm getting you to engage with me. And you're doing it knowing that you hate the guy you're engaging with. Oh, I got to share this. This guy's an ass. Oh, he's a clickbaiter. And you're not even looking at your fingers. You're not even realizing you're the one who allows him to be that way. And you're not really understanding that it's all a game. All of it. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. And you're going to say, Barry, how could you possibly prove to me that what he's doing is a game, what the local media is doing is a game, what I may be doing is a game? Because I'm going to let one of the Miami Dolphins players tell you it's a game. Listen to this and prepare to be blown away. It's a really short video. I hope you guys can hear it.
I was joking, totally joking. You see how I added Doug in there? It's just to have fun, man. And I'm sure he's going to say something back like, oh, can you believe Tyreek Hill said this? Yes. Give me more followers, baby. That's what I want.
He said it was hurtful.
Oh, he said that?
Half like joking.
He understands. He understands. I'm just having fun, man. I'm a big fan of Colin Cowherd. Ever since the Lonzo Ball, him and Lonzo Ball was on there. I mean, not Lonzo. What's the dad name? LeVar Ball was on there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear what he said? Did you actually hear what he said? When he said why he tweeted what he did to Colin Cowherd. I'm going to let you hear it just one more time so you can hear what Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins said with a smile.
Oh, he said that?
Half like joking.
He understands. He understands. I'm just having fun, man. I'm a big fan of Colin Cowherd.
Half like joking.
Hold on.
Tyreek Hill said this? Yes. Give me more followers, baby. That's what I want.
Give me more followers. That's what I want. Tyreek put something out there in response to what Colin Cowherd says. He understands it's a big game. Oh, I laugh and he goes, didn't even know how to pronounce the guy's name right. Give me more followers. He just explained it to you. Yet tomorrow morning, Colin Cowherd will say something else, and the dutiful cult will run to try and attack Colin Cowherd. The dutiful cult is making waves here in my comment section. They are doing what their intention is to try and shitpost and talk crap, not understanding that people are using their psychological problems against them, including a Miami Dolphins player. Not my words. He said it. I bet you guys were shocked. I don't know if you saw it, but he said, I said something. I didn't mean it. It was just fun. Give me more followers. Give me more followers. You get it now? You get it now when we're talking here, and my objective isn't to get more followers and to shitpost. That's why I don't show many of the things that some of the people are saying. I don't want to engage that way, but it's so easy poking the Miami Dolphins fan base. It's a joke. Colin Cowherd is joking. He's making fun. He knows he can get on his show and in the first 10 minutes of the show say, blah, 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 Miami Dolphins, and it's going to get posted everywhere. And people are going to comment, and they're going to call him an asshat and a clown and a moron. But you're still talking about him. You're still giving him engagement. You have no one to blame but yourself. And one of the Miami Dolphins players just told you it's a game. He just said it. Give me more followers. If I could not believe I heard that from Tyreek Hill. I just went, wow. Do people realize what he just said? Are the fans looking at this, Bear? Are the fans looking and seeing what Tyreek Hill just said? He goes, give me more followers? I bet you hadn't seen that today, did you? I bet you nobody really showed you that. That Tyreek Hill was laughing about, jostling with Colin Cowherd, as he called him. And he was the same as LeVar Ball, and they just out there wrestling, just talking shit to each other. Give me more followers. Give me more followers. It's a game. It's a complete game. You guys can't be pissed off because of what people say on television. You can't be pissed off because of what I say in a video, because other people, not myself, are going to use it to their benefit. They're just going to use you as pawns. They know how easy it is right now to just poke you. And they're doing it, including one of your very own players. Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins specifically said, I just want more followers. I make $30 million a year. I've got my own brand. I got married. I got about 6 kids. I got everything I could possibly want, except followers. I remember when I worked for a billionaire and he had hired me to do his social media. And I'm like, dude, why do you care about this? Because the one thing you cannot buy is popularity and fame. This guy's a billionaire. His own plane, can do whatever he wants, go wherever he wants, does whatever he wants. Has every toy imaginable. 120-foot yacht. Maseratis, Ferraris, everything you could possibly imagine he has, except nobody knew who the hell he was. And he wanted people to know him. And he wanted to have Twitter followers. And he wanted to have Instagram followers. So I got it for him. It was actually kind of easy because I pretty much did the same thing that Colin Cowherd is saying, but I did it in a different vertical, different niche. And Tyreek Hill, again, $30 million, I think is what he gets paid. Has everything he could possibly want. Super Bowl ring. Everything he could possibly want. And what did he say? Give me some followers, man. I need it. I need that in my veins, man. I need followers. It's a game. All of it's a game. Everywhere it's a game. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Every single, and people say stuff like, oh, you're just doing this for clicks. Duh. Why the hell do you think anybody posts any singular piece of content anywhere? They're doing it for clicks. They have to do it for clicks. I could turn off a video, never produce another one, except it helps me grow my channel and helps me do a lot of different things. Tyreek Hill just explained it to you. Can't get mad at Colin Cowherd. He's playing a game. Tyreek Hill's playing it along with them. And you are the punchline. So, again, my couch here is open. If you need some therapy, go ahead and email me. Let me know how you feel. Understand those of you who get upset to the point of, I can't believe Barry said this. And I can't believe that Colin Cowherd said this. And he's a clown. He's an asshat. It doesn't matter. 2024 will be his last season. I have no reason to contest his honesty and veracity. Yep, that's what he said. Give me more clicks, baby. I want more clicks. That's all I want. You saw how mad Roquan Smith, Raquan Davis, Raquan at Colin Cowherd, very cursing about. Yeah, doesn't matter. It's all a game. If he walked into a bar and saw Colin Cowherd, they'd probably belly up and get a couple shots. You think he's going to go crazy with him? Hey, Michael, love your channel. You're spot on. I predict a close game won by the defense. I hope so, too. Hey, guys.
Come on, show some love and click that like button.
All right, so I'll do a prediction on a game not involving the Dolphins. All right, so tonight, both these teams have everything to fight for. Browns got to take it. I just love how Joe Flacco is playing. I'm going to get you guys out of here so you can go tune into it and watch it, but I got to go with the Browns. And for one reason, both these teams have been through just so much adversity. Kenny Pickett hurt. Mason Rudolph sucks. Browns have gone through 4 quarterbacks. I believe the stat today, it was pretty interesting. I may have retweeted this. Let me see if I can find it, because it was such a really interesting tweet about the Cleveland Browns. Let me see if I can find it here. I think you guys will laugh at this, or it's at least it'll be of some interest. Let me see if I can find this tweet. Oh, okay, here it is. Check out this tweet. The Cleveland Browns are the first team in NFL history to win at least 10 games in one season with 4 different quarterbacks earning at least 1 win. I mean, that's a tongue twister. The first team in NFL history to win at least 10 games in a season with 4 different starting quarterbacks, each earning 1 win. I got to root for that. I got to root for a team that can go through that kind of adversity and still be standing and in a position to win their division. And on an outside chance, just so you guys know, on an outside chance, they have the ability to be the first seed in the AFC. AFC. I mean, I know that sounds crazy. That sounds absolutely crazy. And so many different things would have to happen for that to actually occur. But you do realize that could actually happen. Let me just show you something. And it stunned me when I saw it today. Okay, go to NFL standings. Check this out. This is going to crack you up. All right, so this is the NFL standings as we see it right now. Baltimore Ravens are number 1, Dolphins 2, Chiefs 3, Jaguars, and then the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are 10-5. Imagine they win their next 2 games. They go to 12-5. So up here, you look, okay, so maybe the Ravens lose their next 2 games. Maybe the Dolphins lose one of the games and go to 12-5. I cannot even comprehend that the Cleveland friggin' Browns, with 4 different quarterbacks, have been able to come up there and be in playoff contention. It's amazing. So I'm rooting for the Cleveland Browns solely because that kind of underdog story really compels me. I think it's a great story, and their as who said this? Chalet says they're being carried by their defense. They can stop any offense. I don't think it's likely we see them unless they make it to AFC Championship, which should be at Hard Rock Stadium. Do I regret wanting Brady over Tua? All right, so I'm going to close with this question because I get that a whole lot. Because I say, hey, listen, go after Brady. I think I said at one point, go after Lamar. And that reasoning was because I did not think that Tua was going to make it through an entire season healthy. So do I regret saying Brady, wanting Brady over Tua? Well, the only reason I wanted Brady over Tua was because I didn't think that Tua was going to stay healthy. Wasn't going to stay on his feet for all 17 games. That's why I wanted Brady or Lamar or somebody. I didn't think he was going to make it. I just didn't think he was going to make it. So do I regret wanting that to happen just in case something happened to Tua? Not at all. Why would I? If Brady was willing to come in, and I think if you look at the videos I said QB 1A. Don't forget that part. I didn't say come in and unseat Tua. I said let them fight it out in preseason. Let's see who is going to be the better quarterback, whether it's going to be Lamar or anybody else, Derek Carr. Let them fight it out. That's what I said. Do I regret saying that? Why would I? Ask Sean Payton how he feels. Ask Mike Tomlin how he feels. Ask Kevin Stefanski how he feels. Ask Antonio Pierce how he feels. I can give you a list of coaches who are looking at, what the hell do I do? My starting quarterback went down. So it was a smart thing to think because nobody had a crystal ball. Nobody knew that Tua was going to last. Nobody knew that Mike McDaniel was going to create an offense where he lets go of the ball in 2.5 seconds. The only thing we had to go on last year was this guy couldn't finish a season. And so you can see right now by watching the game tonight what happens when you don't have competent backup. You got to make a call to 40-year-old Joe Flacco who's watching Netflix and chilling and say, hey, man, do you want to come and try to save our season? I didn't want to be in that position. But Tua has lasted. So, no, do I regret it? No, not at all. Because right now, if something were to happen to Tua, God forbid, in the next 2 games, there is no safety net. I know you don't think that Mike White's going to come in and save the day should something happen to Tua. Imagine this. You're watching the game last Sunday, and Micah Parsons on that bullshit roughing the passer call nailed Tua. Notice that nobody talked the jiu-jitsu shit when they saw that hit. And that was something I said earlier. I'm like, and I mean months earlier. I'm like, jiu-jitsu ain't going to hit you. I mean, ain't going to help you when somebody's coming in your blind side and blast you. And it didn't. Now, really quick, since you asked me a question, let me ask you a question. If that hit by Micah Parsons took Tua out, would you have regretted that they didn't bring out somebody else in? Putting it right back at you. Would you have regretted if right then Micah Parsons knocked Tua's block off, he couldn't get up, he couldn't play, and was lost the rest of the season? How would you feel if you didn't have a competent backup ready to step in? I don't mean Mike White. And you can go through the list of teams this year. Giants, Danny Jones went down. They don't know who's playing quarterback. Some guy who makes pizza, Tommy DeVito, Joe Flacco, Aiden, whatever his name is, Gardner Minshew. Come on, man. Understand that every single one of those coaches and GMs would have loved to have a player like Tom Brady if he was willing to be a backup. They would have loved to be, well, we'll just bring in Tom. Well, we got somebody right now. So you can go back and try to ask me that question. I'm going to give you the same answer. But now I've asked you a question. What would you be doing and what would you be thinking if Micah Parsons knocked Tua's block off last week? So I'm going to let you guys go. Go ahead and check out that game. It looks like it's a good game. It's 7-7. I don't want to hold you, and some of you guys probably already bounced. Thanks for watching. We'll see you Sunday at 12:45 or so. Go ahead and click the link. You'll see it on my timeline, and I hope you guys can show up. Thanks for coming tonight. Again, stay safe, stay healthy out there in this New Year's Eve